Welcome to the McAllister Report. We join John McAllister, top football evaluator, as he shares wisdom and interviews coaches and athletes from around the country. Enjoy today's podcast.
Hello, I'm John McAllister with the John McAllister Report. Today we're going to go to Coach's Corner and talk with one of my favorite coaches. I've known him for a long, long time, Doug Geiser from Ashland University. Doug begins his second year as a head football coach, had a really good season last year, and hopefully, as anybody would think, he continues to get better and better and better. So we're talking about a lot of different things, spring ball and everything, but I think it's always good to talk to Division II coaches and to get their perspective. As you watch the podcast, if you would take a moment to punch I like or anything that's going to help me get more subscribers, I'd love it, or subscribe. And I think that's really good. So now we're going to talk with Doug Geiser from Ashland University. My guest today is the head football coach at Ashland University, Doug Geiser. I probably pronounced that wrong, didn't I?
No, Geiser, that's fine. Yeah, you're good.
Geiser's fine. Mm-hmm. Coach, how are you today?
I'm doing great. Doing great. Getting ready for our first scrimmage tomorrow.
Oh, is it the first scrimmage tomorrow?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. And then is that semi-public, or can anybody come to that? Or
yeah, it's parents, friends, and whatnot. Yeah, we have recruits in as well, so it is open to the public. Yeah.
Okay. And if it's bad weather, you'll go inside.
If it's bad weather, we have the option of going inside. Yes, that's a nice option to have.
It sure is. And you have a pretty nice inside place.
Yeah.
You don't have to walk too far. I'm so impressed with your facilities, Doug. And that can lead me into something here in a minute. But you have it all right there. I mean, and the continued growth of Ashland University, and the volleyball coach there is pretty good. Got to be patient with her a little bit. She's a friend of mine, obviously.
You know what? I should have thought about that connection through Upper Sandusky there, but yeah, she does a great job. Katie does a great job.
The only reason is because we go to the same church too. That's how I met Katie. Excuse me, Coach. Anyway, Doug, let's talk Ashland University Division II football, and I think it's so important right now because of the transfer portal, because you're going to get the trickle down, and it's you don't want all the bad characters, but you can be selective. Tell me about Division II football proper.
Division II, it's after having spent a number of years with Coach Owens at Akron, I almost compare it very favorably to when we were in the MAC a number of years ago at Akron, and we're looking at a lot of the same guys we recruited back at that point, and now they're available because a lot of the mid majors and not to mention the bigger schools are going to the transfer portal, and so a lot of high school kids aren't getting the same opportunities. So it's opened up a whole new talent base for us.
Okay, and then Division II football, I'm such a proponent because I think it's a landing spot for kids that are really good. It's an opening for high school players that are really good, and you have to have good players.
And absolutely, yeah.
It's just like my friend at YSU. He says, we got to have good players. And that conference they're in is the same thing, and it's all relative to you. Okay. Yeah. Another thing I think, now, are you getting many through the portal? Are you getting many inquiries from kids, in the Midwest, farther away that know about Ashland University?
We are kind of our niche is, guys we might have made contact with during recruiting initially.
For sure.
Okay. And that we've already vetted them at that point. And so yeah, I mean, based on reputation, based on success recently, maybe prior relationship, we do get a number of inquiries. Yeah.
It's really good. And you were talking about success. You guys have done pretty well. Tell me about last year. You're real quickly in a nutshell.
Kind of stubbed our toe coming out of the chute, playing nationally ranked teams, IUP and Ferris, and we're ahead late in the games. Fourth quarter, didn't finish. We started season 1-3, and then the kids stuck together and rallied, and we finished up 9-3, and won the first bowl game in school history. So it was a nice way to finish, and hopefully use as a springboard for 2024.
9-3 and a first bowl victory.
Yeah,
in history.
Yep,
that needs to be emphasized a little bit.
Yep. Then we talk about in recruiting.
I bet you do. Tell me about. Let's go recruiting then. I'm going to jump around here. Let's go recruiting, Coach. Last year was your first year as a head coach. Mm-hmm. I'm sure after 3 games you were talking to your wife about used car salesman or something like that. Mm-hmm. I'm joking with you. But anyway, we're talking recruiting. Tell me about what you look for, Coach. Not your position coaches. When they bring a guy into you, when Tom brings a guy into you, or your defensive backfield coach, what are you looking for?
If you go beyond the talent portion and size or size potential, there's three questions we always ask the kids. Okay. Number 1, do you love football? Okay. Number 2, can we trust you? And number 3, are you a good teammate? Those three things initially, it spans more than just a talent. If you don't have those and you have the talent, you still might not make it because you don't have the intangible stuff.
Oh my! People may blow that off.
Yeah,
but that's so true.
Yeah,
yeah. And for me, what I do when I talk to kids, I look at them and I'll ask them stupid questions. Sometimes silly, you know how my personality.
Yeah.
Something off the wall and see how they respond. You know, and then I've actually taken a kid, and his parents are there, and his dad's talking all the time. Pretty soon I'd say, can you talk? And then I turn him away from the dad, and I can get away with that.
Yeah.
It's tougher for you guys, but it's true. The trust is a big factor.
Absolutely.
And I totally agree, because if your fullback it's 4th and 1 going in and you're up by 20, 30 points in the fourth quarter, you're going to score. But if it's 0-0 or you're down by 6 points, and that fullback, you got to score. You got and teammates all trust him, And
well, the thing is, the trust goes more than just on the field. Exactly. I've got to be able to trust you to do your job and know what you're doing. But number 2, I got to trust you in the classroom. I got to trust you in the community. Okay. Exactly. And the thing I think that people sometimes neglect to look at and be aware of, it goes hand in hand. If I can't trust you off the field and to go to class and do the things there, how am I going to trust you on the field? It goes hand in hand, and people don't realize that. You can't just turn it on and turn it off.
Oh my, it's so true. And that's about as plain and simple as you can make it. You can color this all you want, but that's about as plain and simple as anybody can make it. Whether you're Ashland, Bluffton, or Ohio State, you got to trust those guys. You're spot on, Coach. I know you know that, but I just totally agree with it. Okay, I missed one thing. It's always a concern to me. Let's go back to Division II again.
Yep.
It's always a concern to me that kids think that pro scouts, they don't know anything about Tiffin, Ashland, Findlay, Ohio Dominican, and Malone. I think they don't know anything about those schools.
Yeah.
You have guys playing in the league.
Yeah, we have, and we get a lot of traffic. And in reality, what happens is the 2 scouting services that the NFL uses, Blesto and National, every year they send representatives to Ashland, and they came through again this past March, and they look at the guys for the next year to put on the radar, and they height them, they weight them, they measure them all over the place, they run them in the 40. Have them do all kinds of questionnaires and tests and whatnot just to get them on the radar. Basically, they're doing what you do in a lot of respects, because all that information is given out to not all the teams. I know the Patriots don't use them. There's one other, but they do their own thing, but then you're on the radar. And, the other thing too is like yesterday at practice, we had Michael Ayers came back. Michael graduated after 2022 season.
Yeah.
Mike is heading to rookie camp with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers here in the beginning of May. To have him address the team was inspiring to the team. And, he was a captain for them. And, just to see it kind of just ingrained, hey, if that's your goal to play beyond, you can get there from here. Yeah. Whether you're Adam Shaheen or Jarris Pendleton or Jamie Meter or, Michael Ayers, whatever the case might be. If that's your goal, you can get there from here.
For sure. And you can get there and play.
Yeah.
That's huge. The last thing, tell me on D2, then we'll go. Tell me about the scholarships. What's the situation, Coach Geiser, with the scholarships?
Yeah, and here's the Cliff Notes version. If you're looking FBS, okay, Ohio State, Alabama, and so on, they have the equivalent of 85 scholarships. You're full or you're none. There are no partials at that level, okay, as far as football money. If you're talking FCS, formerly 1AA, Youngstown State, North Dakota State, they have the equivalent of 63. You can break them up. You can go full, okay? In Division II, we have 36, the equivalent of 36. Now, nobody on our team is on a full ride with an athletic scholarship,
right?
Okay, because now you're expending 1.0 on one person.
Right.
That really hurts your depth.
Right.
However, we do have a number of guys that go to school for nothing, okay, because you can stack their money. So here's where being a good student comes in, or having some need-based money. You get an academic scholarship, athletic scholarship, any state or federal money you might get, any institutional money, and you look at the total package. You look at what the out-of-pocket is, okay? In Division II, you can't get hung up on how big the athletic scholarship is. What's the bottom line? Exactly. What's the bottom line? What am I owing?
Right. And that's true. And I understand that whole situation. And sometimes if you get a guy who lives within the area, he can stay home and go to school. And I mean, it's not maybe be in the dorm during football season, but he could, I don't know. There's a lot of ways you can skin that cat, so to speak.
Yeah. But here's the other benefit to that. Not meaning to cut you off, is it's in Division II, it's almost like a salary cap in a lot of respects. So 36 times the price of school. It now allows you to renegotiate a contract with a kid too. Okay. Say he comes in with no money or a small scholarship. Hey, if he comes in and he's on the field, he's doing things right in the classroom, guess what? You now have a conversation. Say, hey, John, guess what? You're doing everything exactly right. We're going to up your scholarship. We're going to give you money. And you know what? We've never been denied. Nobody's ever not taken that deal. But it's a nice conversation to have, though, because it really ingrains all the things you're talking about building in your culture and rewarding merit. And that's what it should be about.
Well, that's really huge. Okay, let's do this. Let's talk quickly about spring practice right now. Mm-hmm. How is it going right now, Coach?
We finished our 8th practice yesterday, and we had Easter break in the middle. So we went 6 practices, Easter break. We came back with 2 more practices this week. We're going to do our first scrimmage on Saturday. The next 2 weeks will be the same schedule: practice Tuesday, Thursday, and a Friday scrimmage. And so far, I like where we're at. I think in a lot of respects we're beyond, and we've progressed past where we were at this point last year, which is a good way to kind of mark it. And I'm excited to see the carryover now into the scrimmages, because up at this point we haven't tackled.
Right.
Okay, we haven't taken them to the ground.
Right.
Now we're going to take the shackles off, so to speak, let them go play. And
on Saturday.
Yeah, on Saturday. And it's really the first real opportunity for guys to move up or down on the depth chart.
Right. That's really good. Oh, so it's huge for your players.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, they're not going to go out there and just go through the motions. Now, I'm joking a little bit, but you can't afford to.
Absolutely.
That's why they have to play. That's why you go back and say, you better love football.
Yes. Yeah.
That's one of the things, or giving up all your practice time and or working at practice and free times less and things like that. Well, I'm a proponent of that as well. Okay. Tell me at practices, Coach, what's your policy? I think it's important. What's your policy as far as opening up practice? I mean, can anybody go, or how does that work? You bring recruits, I'm sure.
Yeah, definitely recruits, parents, friends of the program. Practices are open. In fact, we've had a ton of high school coaches have already attended our practices. And we do it as a courtesy. And we even tell them, hey, if you want to come in and sit on our meetings beforehand, if you want to talk football afterwards, we'll do that. Whatever we can do is a courtesy to you to help further the game of football and help you, solve your problems. And in a lot of respects, you look at it, hey, you help those guys because they're helping you in recruiting. Okay. Sure. And so you scratch my back, I scratch yours type of thing. And it's the right thing to do. That's what I've been taught. You work around great people like a Paul Winters, a Lee Owens growing up, you learn those things. They're tremendous with those relationships. And we're just carrying on the same thing.
I think it's huge. And I think the other thing is being a coach when in my younger years and trying to be a sponge and probably be too nosy, but I think if you can come to your practice and maybe see 3 or 4 things that you can implement in your program, it's a great deal. Plus, Coach, if people are watching us, everybody should know that the coaching fraternity is a big fraternity.
Yeah. Yes.
And the relationships you build are amazing. And I think young high school coaches sometimes don't realize that. They just go, it's getting better, but they just go and they play the game. I guess it's the new generation of coaches, but it ain't going to work after a while.
And we do the same thing, John. I mean, before we started, I think the 2 weeks before we started, we were at Ohio State's practice.
Right.
And I got a chance to catch up with, an old college teammate, Jimmy Knowles, played with me at Cornell. And then you go to Toledo and get a chance to, talk with Vince Karras and Jason Candle, and went to, Ohio University and Scott Isfording and Tim Albin. So, it is a big fraternity. And the thing that people probably don't realize is how much people want to share.
Yeah.
Okay. You got to have an inquiring mind, and you got to be respectful and all those sorts of things and do it for the right reasons. But people are willing to work with you and talk with you to share ideas. And that's the fun part about the profession.
That's good. Let's mention your assistant coaches, and I'd be remiss if I didn't. I know Coach Stacy really, really well, and I know he's still working with you. And also, I don't know Tim Rose as well, but, he's been around the game a little bit. I'm thinking 61 years, you told me.
61 years will be this year coming up. And now here's what I would tell you about him. There is nobody in America that works the game and researches the game harder than Tim does.
Yeah.
You would think that somebody with his experience that he could mail it in and nobody would think anything real, ill of him. He doesn't. He works harder than anybody on staff, just trying to find the next thing, the next big thing, next, strategic thing. And it's really a great example, not only for me, but also our young coaches.
Yeah, well, you've got young coaches too that I wrote about, and I always kept in contact a little bit. And then these guys come up to me and say, "Hey, Coach, how are you doing?" And I gotta play the game because I can't remember those guys as much as they can remember. I think it's my face they remember. But anyway, that's really good. It's a key. Let's go. I think we talked about practice. Anybody can really come to it, which is huge. I mean, they got to stay back but I think kids don't realize this. I say, just go and see how big and fast those guys are. Like, just think of your quarterback. Now, he's played a long time, and the kid at Finley's played a long time, the quarterbacks. You'll learn from those guys just watching them. Yeah. And I think that's huge. And plus you have and you guys are willing to talk to, anybody really after practice. Yeah. Okay. All right. A couple more questions. Transfer portal. How does that affect you positive and negatively, Coach?
Positive. It's a way, just like we look at with like a junior college, it's a way to, solve a short-term problem.
Right.
Okay. We're never going to be full-fledged transfer portal like some schools have.
No.
Our base is always going to be high school and developing guys and building a culture over 4 or 5 years. But sometimes, you might, for whatever reason, injury, attrition, somebody leaves, you might have a hole at a position or two that, it's there. It's a place you can go and maybe supplement that. Okay. Now, here's the thing is, it's not a one-stop shop. You better vet them as well.
Yeah.
Okay. We just can't bring anybody into the program. They've got to fit.
Yeah.
They've got to fit. Okay. And, we won't compromise the culture just for that short-term talent fix. Doesn't work.
No, it doesn't. And then I heard somebody else talk about fit.
Mm-hmm.
You could probably fit and culture. You could probably add that to the first three you talked about.
Yeah.
And make that the fourth one pretty close anyway.
Yeah.
What's the shortcomings for you? I have an idea what you're going to say. Tell me how the transfer portal works against you.
There's always a fear. There's actually a couple of fears. I fear a little bit. Hey, if there's a higher level of talent available to us, in 10 years past is going to the MAC.
Yeah.
And maybe never fully embracing Division II, embracing Ashland initially. Maybe they think, hey, you know what? I'm going to settle for a Division II. I'm going to settle for Ashland, go there for 2 years, get on tape, and then I'm going to bounce.
Yeah.
That concerns me.
Right.
Okay. Because that's not what we're about. Okay. Right. And we preach that stuff and sell that stuff in recruiting, and we believe it. It's not just a tagline. It's something we believe. And so that concerns me. The other part too is, bigger schools poaching our players.
Right.
That is a concern. And how you counteract it, I'm not sure.
Right.
I'm not sure, but that is scary because of the things that you learn. This game is not just about football. It's not just about the X's and O's. It's not about just playing on Saturdays.
Yeah.
Okay. You learn life lessons, and it might seem cliche to say that. That's what I was taught growing up. I firmly believe that. And football is just kind of our vessel to teach life.
Right.
And those morals and ethics and values and grit. And now if you're offering an opportunity where guys, if they don't like it for whatever reason, they don't like it because somebody yelled at me.
Yeah.
They're being coached hard. You're being challenged. You got to compete. And I can just go somewhere else because of that. What are we teaching young kids?
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
That's not right. And life is not like that. You can't just run away from problems and run away from adversity. You got to attack it head on.
Yeah.
And compete and have grit and fight and scratch and claw to get what you want to get.
See, I think the other thing is, and I tell kids all the time with recruiting, control what you can control.
Yes.
You can control how hard you work. You can control all these things, but you can't control 5 stars and whatever those stupid things are. You can't control that, and you can't control who likes you. And I think the same thing in your situation. You guys do the very best you can. Make that kid, do it. And then if you lose him, you can't control that, but it's still tough.
Yeah.
And that's really interesting. NIL, I don't want to go into this too much, but is that going to help you or hurt you think, or both?
You know what? We look at it as a positive.
Okay.
Okay. It's something we can use. We have those opportunities here. I got to be careful kind of how I talk about it because I'm not allowed to be involved with it, but there are NIL opportunities at Ashland.
Okay.
And
I think that's the answer.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's a great answer. They're available.
Yeah.
You personally, can research it on your own and stuff like that. Okay. Well, Coach, we talked for 22 minutes, almost 20, and everybody tells me these are only supposed to go 15, but I can't have a good conversation in 15 minutes.
You know what? This is just two old friends talking, and we could talk forever. We both. Anybody that knows either one of us knows that would be the case.
A couple, and one more guy on your staff's probably the same way too. But we won't mention him. I forgot this before we close. I think you should. It's important. Give me the details on junior days.
Okay. Junior days, what we do, it's something we started last year, and it's an opportunity for rising seniors, even underclassmen. We don't restrict it just to rising seniors, to come and check us out and get a snapshot of what Ashland University is all about. The tempo that we practice at, how we coach, how talented our kids are, how big our kids are. A lot of times people don't have an appreciation of that. And realize the level of football it is if you want to aspire to play here. And then, also you get a chance to meet your recruiting coach, meet the staff, meet the position coach, you get a chance to get a small snapshot. We don't do a full-fledged tour, but you get a snapshot of what Ashland is. And hopefully it whets your appetite enough where you want to come back for more and find out more.
I think that's huge. And I'd add to that real quickly. You have let's have spring football. Tell me about that on the 20th.
Our spring game was on April 20th, and we like to do the traditional having the players draft teams. So our captains are going to have a draft that week of, and they're going to draft not only the players but the coaches and the support staff, and we're going to play purple versus gold. And it is live as live can be. The only thing we're going to control is special teams. We're not going to put guys in jeopardy there. We're going to practice it, but not to full tackle. And hey, there's a winner, there's a loser. Now, I don't know if we'll go to the extent of Woody Hayes used to do with the losing team serving a steak dinner to the winners and eating pork and beans themselves. But there will be a fun little prize that they're going to compete for, and more than anything else, it's bragging rights. And for us, it allows us to make spring practice fun, which can be a grind. Yeah. But if you take one of those 15 practices and say, hey, you guys just go play the game you love, that you grew up playing in your backyard, we got to remember to keep this game fun. And it's a way for us to allow us to do that. That's
really good. And the last thing before we go, I'd plug this. I plug Ashland and all the Division II schools around. I think it's really important that they get to see what it's all about. I think it's important, and I know your other schools are highly competitive. I'm around them all, but it's important for players. Now, I'll make everybody upset, but if you're in high school, if you're not playing in the Division I, II, or III, maybe a little bit 4, and you want to play college football, you really have to check out Division II schools. Now, I don't know if you can play there because I have all my philosophies and I make everybody mad again, but you got to check it out.
Yeah.
You can't come from an Upper Sandusky right now. You better check out Ashland and those schools rather than thinking you're going to go to Bowling Green or Toledo or OU. And that's not a put down on Ashland at all.
No.
Because that's how good you guys are, and these kids need to be around that stuff. So
yeah. Well, here's a way to think about it, John. Is this: there are many different levels of football.
Right.
Okay. There's a level for everybody.
Exactly.
And what you got to do is you got to make yourself informed enough to know where you fit.
Exactly.
And what's the experience you're looking for? Are you just looking to be a part of the roster and be a part of an Ohio State? Not a knock on Ohio State, but if you want that possibility just running out the tunnel but maybe never playing, great, that might be success for you. If you want to go somewhere and be able to play a lot and develop and possibly develop your skills enough, or maybe you might get looked at by the next level, those are things you got in. I can't answer those things.
Right.
The players got to answer those things, and the way you do that, you investigate all levels to see where you fit,
and then inventory yourself after you've done that. What do you really believe you can do? So, and parents.
Yep. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Coach Geiser, I really appreciate your time. It's so informative, and you've done such a good job. Okay.
I appreciate it. Hey, anytime, John, anytime you want to talk ball, just give me a call.
Yeah, I know that for sure. Especially offensive linemen. We're good on that.
We can do that.
Thanks again very much for doing this for me.
I appreciate it. Thank you, John.